Todd Monken asked about the quarterbacks at the owners' meetings out in Phoenix. I thought he was rather transparent. We had Zach Jackson on in hour number 1, and he said that he started transparent, but in the last couple of sessions with the media, he's sort of pulled back. So he's being indoctrinated into the Browns' way. Never say anything. Anyhow, he did say something about the quarterbacks. Mikey McNuggets has put all of his quarterback answers together in one nice, neat little package. This is Todd Monken on the Browns quarterback room coming into the 26th season. Listen.
I wouldn't say they're going to be evenly dispersed, but we'll definitely disperse them to give ourselves a chance to at least evaluate who we have on the roster, whoever that might be, as we go through the offseason.
Aren't going to be divided evenly, so assume like somebody's going to get more reps without looking at Deshaun's prior film or knowing how they're fit in your offense. How do you decide who is kind of QB1 tentatively to start the offseason workouts?
By basically what we've seen in the past and where the year ended last year.
So does that mean Shedeur gets the bulk of the reps?
I'm not ready to say that yet. I just said the reps can't be divided up evenly. There's no chance it can be divided up evenly. At least on a daily basis.
Why would you not divide the reps up evenly? Like, what is your thinking or philosophy behind not doing that?
Well, I think there's always competition, irrespective of the number of reps a player gets. A number of reps a player gets doesn't eliminate competition. It just, in a given day, let's say, for instance, you want to see a quarterback with the first group, a second group, a third group. Well, are you going to divide those reps up evenly? Are you going to divide up the reps everywhere evenly? I don't see it that way. I don't see it. That doesn't mean there's not competition. I just see it as in a given day, and it'll be daily, in terms of who gets what reps and when. Because we certainly want to allocate our reps to the players we feel like are going to give us the best chance to win.
All right, so there it is. And after hearing that, I think Zach is right. Some of those answers were short, curt, right to the point, cut it off. I kind of like the old just swing from the hip Todd Monken, where he would give 2-3 minute answers on each question. But in the nutshell, this is what I took away from that. We're kind of at ground zero, but not really, because he's going to use what he has seen in the past. Most specifically, what I honed in on was particularly at the end of last year. Well, at the end of last year, Deshaun Watson wasn't putting anything on tape. So you can say it a million different ways, but Shedeur Sanders is, in his mind at least, right now, his QB1.
So I'm going to disagree, because he said at the Combine, the process has to play out. And there's this idea that we're so early into this process. They don't know what they have yet. They haven't seen anybody in his system.
Right.
They want to see it with their own two eyes. You can see tape. There's all the circumstances that happen around the guys in their previous, what they put on tape. I think he's getting sick of answering quarterback questions, because we're looking for an answer.
Sure.
But there is no answer.
Not on April 1st, there isn't.
No.
But the one thing, though, like, you have to, when you start making your practice schedule out, you have to start dividing reps. So that means you have to pick a guy who right now is your one. And I just feel very comfortable in saying right now his one is the guy who was leading this team last year when we last saw them on the football field. The one thing that really I thought was kind of a dig at the media and all of those people who were screaming, oh my God, Shedeur Sanders didn't get any reps with the ones last year. Yeah. This is the NFL. That's not how it works. When you bring 3 quarterbacks in for an open quarterback competition, you don't sit there with a clipboard and say, okay, Unit A, you get 5 plays. Unit B, you get 5 plays. That's not how it works. And he kind of scoffed at that idea and said, well, no, I'm going to distribute the reps. They're not going to be evenly distributed. If right now Shedeur Sanders is in the pole position, he might get 40% of the reps. And then you might see Dillon, Gabriel get 30% and Deshaun Watson get 30%. That hasn't been determined yet. Now, from what he sees in those reps, he will make his ultimate decision based on who's best to lead this team.
It's just always so silly for fans and for folks in the media to criticize how coaches practice their quarterbacks and how many reps they get.
It's out of touch.
We have no idea the scenarios they're putting these guys in. They may want to see Shedeur Sanders under more pressure against this particular type of defense on this one day of training camp or what have you.
Someone else more in goal line.
100%,
goal line is
100%. So it's just so funny to criticize and be critical. And by the way, it's probably more so because your guy's not winning the job in terms of the fans who wanted Shedeur. They're going to bitch about it.
Yeah.
And so that's how it is. This is not like, we're not divvying up reps like we're in 6th grade.
Yes.
Basketball or something.
Everybody doesn't get a trophy.
It's not everyone's got to play.
Yeah.
This is not the first
Hello,
church
Coach.
league.
Yes, my son didn't get the same practice reps today that Billy did.
Yeah.
That might happen in the 7th grade.
Sure.
At the NFL level, it's a meritocracy. You get what you earn, and then based on the reps that you get, if you shine in that situation, you can earn more reps. If you don't look good in the situations they want to see you in, then you'll probably get fewer reps.
And also, how about let the coach do his job?
Yeah.
Because he's the one who knows. He's trying to win.
He wants to win. He
Like
needs to
nobody's won here.
Sure.
Right? And so this guy's not coming here to play favorites.
No.
He's coming here to try and get some W's in that column and get to the playoffs. And
you
win
do that
and
by
win a
getting the best
championship.
player
100%.
at that position.
100%.
Do you think Tom Brady was mad and bitching about how, I didn't get enough reps when Drew Bledsoe went down? No, he went out there and he made the most of the reps that he got, and that's what the NFL, that's what life is. You're not going to be fully prepared for any situation. You need to make the most of what you got. Whoever's out there first gets the first crack. If it's Shedeur Sanders, if it's Deshaun Watson, if it's Dillon Gabriel, if they get the most reps and don't make them count and someone else does, Todd Monken's going to go with that guy, and that's what he should do because he's here to win games.
Right. Now, the Shedeur crowd last year was complaining about, he didn't get any first-team reps. Well, you can go around to the other 31 NFL camps and ask how many first-team reps did your third-string quarterback get? The answer is going to be very, very similar.
Right.
Well, with the first team, none. They got reps, but they were getting reps with the second and the third team. That's how it works. If that's the way you want to view this, and this is all new to me, that the third-string quarterback should get the same amount of reps with the first team that the first-string quarterback gets. That's all new to me. But if that's the energy that you're going to keep, then that means Dillon Gabriel should get the same number of reps this year in camp as Shedeur Sanders gets with the ones. And I can promise you already, that won't happen. So it's not, it's a meritocracy. It's one of the great meritocracies left in the world is professional sports. I don't care who you are, where you come from, what your beliefs are. If you give a team the best chance to win, you're going to win the job.
Your performance, dictates what you eat.
How you eat.
And how you eat. I mean, like you're eating burgers or you're eating steak.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the deal. And Todd Monken's trying to have filet mignon.
That's what he wants. That's what everybody wants to eat.
He's not gonna put these guys in a position for them to not be ready to go.
Right.
And by the way, a lot of these decisions are made now. Like, not like all the reps, but like going into camp, they have an idea of who the quarterback's going to be. And then obviously guys get hurt, guys may play better, perform better in preseason games.
And that's where you adjust.
And then 100%. You adjust the reps, and maybe all of a sudden one guy, kind of choked a little bit once he got in some preseason action. You're like, well, you know what? Dylan has earned some more reps. Let's give him the start this week.
Well,
that's how it goes, man.
There's 3 preseason games. I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm not quite sure. I would almost be inclined to give each of the 3 a full game. I want to see a quarterback out there. I know that they say, you're going to get 10 plays or 3 series or the first half. Like, why not? Let's just give them a game because it takes time to get into a rhythm, and also. Sometimes you can start cold 1 or 2 series, but then you find your rhythm. Well, you're not going to find it if you're only going to get 10 plays and 4 of them are passing plays. So now you're out of the game. What did we learn? I can learn something in 60 minutes of football. And the way we have used the preseason in the past, I thought has been a massive, massive fail. And I want to see that change for this year. However it works out, I don't know if you start Dillon in the first preseason game, Deshaun number 2, and Shedeur number 3, whatever. Just give them each the same amount of time and the same circumstances. You get 4 quarters to go do whatever you can do. Then I think you get a better idea of which of these 3 can best lead you into the season. I'm not sure if you're comfortable going here, so I'm going to ask you this.
Sure.
We were talking about something during the Todd Monken sound.
Yeah.
Are you good with talking about that on the air? Because I thought what you said was fascinating.
Yeah, I said there's going to be a meltdown this year at some point.
Yeah.
Like I can
and
just see
explain that. Like, what do you mean by that?
I just think that like you can see it from this guy. Like
it's percolating.
Like his ears. Eventually, there's going to be smoke coming out during one of these sessions.
Yeah.
And it'll. Be,
Are you okay with that?
Well, we'll have to get there first and see how he responds to it and how it goes. But like, this is a guy who's not. He doesn't seem like the type of coach that's going to be like Stefanski, where he can just really keep it all even keeled the entire time. This dude wears his emotions on his sleeve.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with
as long as it's not like out of control and like destructive to
use
the
it
to
in a
the
positive
team.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the media sessions this year are going to be wild.
They're going to be different,
especially if they don't get off to the start that he would like. I mean, this guy's used to winning everywhere he's been.
Yeah. And I agree
outside
with
of Cleveland.
you. It's funny because when you were saying that, I was maybe reading something into his facial expressions or his eye glare in the second question.
Body language.
And I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's biting his tongue right now because we're in the honeymoon. But if we're in week 7 and we're 2-5 and he gets that question, I don't think he's going to bite his tongue. And I'm okay with that. And again, I don't want wild swings of emotion just for the sake of entertainment. If you can channel that energy and send a message to your team through losing your temper, I think that's the best way to do it.
I'll tell you, from a previous stop of mine when I covered Nick Saban in Alabama, I've sat through enough of his rants and ravings through press conferences. You could tell the second he walked in, it's like, okay, he's got a message. It's like, all right, who's it going to be? You're looking around the room like, all right, who's going to be the one to set him off? And it kind of became like a tiptoe game. Like, okay, how close to the line are we going to get? Because you know what set him off. So I'm very curious who it's going to be, what the message is going to be, and when it happens. But
do we want to set an over/under on games or weeks in the season until we see the first explosion?
That's a good question.
I think Halloween.
I was going to say week 6, and that's Halloween's usually around there. Week 7, maybe.
But I'll say what Saban did with his rants, yes, they got played over and over again, great TV. There was always a message within it for his team, and that's what he was so good at.
Yeah.
So as long as Todd, if he flies off the rail, fine. As long as there's a message in there and he's not just becoming a crazy emotional coach throwing stuff on the sidelines.
Rat poison.
Rat poison.
Yeah.
There for that one.
Did he ever pick on you? Did you ever have a moment?
No, I was...
You steered clear. Jim Mora was a guy that comes to mind who would have explosion. Yeah, his were almost always aimed at the media. One time they asked him a question about the playoff rant is obviously the famous one, but somebody had asked him a question about really into the weeds, like cover 2 or someone's responsibility, and he thought this was the perfect opportunity. You can look at it on YouTube; it's hilarious. He went into this whole tirade about the media thinks they know, but they don't. And they never will. And he went on for a good 5 minutes saying, you guys have never been in a planning session. You don't know. You don't know whose responsibility it is. You think you do, but you don't. And you never will. And he just kept pounding that for 5 minutes. It was hilarious. Like the playoffs, somebody had asked him in week 12 about playoff chances, and they were probably 4-8.
Yeah.
If they won their last 4, they might have a chance at a wild card, and that was the famous playoffs. Like how can you sit here and talk about playoffs? Yeah, playoffs. Have you been watching? But I think that, and you mentioned Saban. The guy that I would use is Bill Belichick. With Bill Belichick, it was always his news conferences were always hot potato. If you had the mic, which is the person that was asking the question, and sometimes they were passing a mic, other times it was just a screaming free-for-all. But if you were on the floor and you were in the spotlight, you had the potato, and it was a game of hot potato. It was like passing around a hand grenade with the pin out of it, and you didn't know when it was going to go off, but you knew it was going to go off. And Bill would listen to the questions with no facial expression, and he would just pick and choose his opportunity to go off. And you never knew where it was going to be. But his messages were always geared towards his team. The famous one that comes to mind is, we're on to Cincinnati. On to Cincinnati. All he wanted his team to take from that loss was, it's behind us, and now all we can do is think about and prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's what we're going to do. And Bill was the master at motivating either individuals on his team or his entire team through manipulation of the media. I think Todd will be more the latter than Jim Mora. I hope so. because he seems like a pretty cerebral guy and he seems like he gets it.
And I'm curious, Dustin, when you look at a head coach and having that message out there, like we're saying it's a message to the team, how much of the team do you think takes away from what their head coach is saying when he puts it out there?
I mean, it's hard to say how much of the team takes away. I mean, like what percentage or what they take away. But there's definitely meaning behind it. These coaches are so smart and they know how to push the right buttons. And also, some coaches know what teams, like, because every year the team's different. Like, oh, this team can't deal with this. Like, I don't need to do this. Or like some teams, you're like, yeah, I don't need to say anything because they're good. Like, I'm not going to manipulate the media for the benefit of my team. So that's what makes Saban and Belichick and those guys so just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Tactical.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah,
in terms
that, yeah.
of
Everything they do has purpose.
Yeah,
Even
everything has purpose, and it's why they're so good.
Yeah, it is. And I do think Todd Monken will fall into that category, but I definitely think that if you listen closely, you can hear the ticking.
Yeah.
You can hear it. And I also think that his players are going to feel that wrath on the field. I think he's going to be a fire and brimstone coach. I had said, when I realized that Stefanski wasn't the guy, all I said was, I don't care who you bring in here, this person needs to have a heartbeat, a pulse, and a bit of a mean streak to them, because this team lacks dogs. We always say that. They don't have enough dogs. And I think that starts from the head coach. And when you get that fiery head coach, the teams always take on the personality of their head coach. And Kevin was passive and more docile.
Yep.
And I don't think we're going to get that with Todd Monken.
This will be a different team.
Yeah.
This will be a different team for sure.